everyone, we've made it to week 7 of our Throw Along Crochet. And if you've gotten this far along, I'm very happy to be here with you. Please tell your friends, share and like and subscribe. It's very much appreciated. So here we are in week number 7 of our Throw Along Crochet at Needful Things Again. Let me take my stitch marker out. And we finished last week on the front of our work with our row of single crochet. That was the last row we did. And so now this week what we're going to do is, we've done our single crochet, so we're going to do a reverse crochet back to the beginning of this row. Then we're going to do a single crochet. Then we're going to do a half double crochet row, a single crochet row, a reverse crochet, and maybe a single, I don't know. We'll see what we do at the very end. So anyway, we're going to start here with our reverse crochet because we already have our single in there. So, and I believe this is row 100, I think. And remember to go in that very first one. Even though it's crazy to get that yarn through there, right? And just continue down the row doing your reverse crochet. You've done it plenty of times by now. And always remember, when you do your next row after this, which will be your single crochet row in the back loop, to count that row to make sure you still have your 200 stitches. And at this point, if you don't, just stick an extra one in there. Trust me, the crochet police will not come and arrest you for one stitch, maybe two, but not one. And so we're just going to continue doing our reverse crochet till we get back to the beginning of this row. And you should be pretty used to going backwards by now. And I'll just do a few more here with you. Okay, so just continue doing your reverse crochet till you get to the other end of your work, and I'll meet up with you when we get to the end of that row and start our next row. Okay, so I'm at the end of my first reverse crochet row. And I don't chain here now. Remember, no chain. Go into that first one. Make sure you get that first one. Single crochet in the back loop. That's the remaining loop from what we just did. And we're going to single crochet all the way across this entire row. Very simple. And that's what we're going to do for, I believe this is row 101. Right in that back loop, behind your reverse crochet. See there? Right there. Go right under there, pull up a loop. Back loops only. And you've also done this before as well. And when we get to the end of this row, we will simply chain one. And I will show you what we're going to do then. So finish this row of single crochets to the end, and I'll meet back up with you there. Okay, so I'm to the end of this single crochet row. And don't forget to get that very last stitch down there. And then chain one and turn your work. Okay, so now we're back on this side. This is our front side. We're on the back side. And what we're going to do now is double crochet, half double crochet all the way across this row in the back loops. Now remember I call them far back loops because remember you have this your stitch here, you have this loop and this loop, two loops here, but we're not going in either one of those. We're going in this stitch that's behind there and a little below. So in the very first stitch, it's like right here, you gotta like pinch it out a little bit, but it is there. And if you have a lot of trouble doing it, you can just pop yourself, oops, I didn't yarn over. You can just do a regular double crochet there if you have trouble finding that particular stitch. And just do a half double crochet to start in that back loop. And there it is, that one right there. I use my fingernail to pull it down a little bit because it's a bit of a tight squeeze. And then just do a half double crochet. And as you get across there, it gets a little more open. And you'll get more used to it. It's like not a normal way to do it, so it might seem a little weird at first, but you'll have muscle memory, will pick it right up. And you're going to do that half double crochet all the way across in that far, I'm calling it the far back loop. I mean, it's actually right in your face, but if you look at the stitch from the front, it's all the way back. And it gives us that little knit looking stitch there. So just continue to do that all the way across. Just give it a little pull down. You have to. Once you figure out, oh, that's the stitch I'm putting it in, then it's pretty easy. But you just yarn over, find that bottom stitch. It's right below where it looks like the little knit stitch top of your crochet stitch. You know, like right there is your stitch. And then it's right below it right there. I hope that makes sense. You've done it before, so I'm sure it does. We did it in the beginning. So continue to do this half double crochet row all the way across in that far back loop. And I'll meet you up when we get to the end for our next row, okay? All right, keep on going. We're almost there. Okay, so I'm coming up onto the end of the row of my half double crochets in the far back loop. And I'll just finish this up here. Then I'm going to chain one and turn my work. Okay. So now we're back on the front of our work. And we're going to do a row across of single crochets in the back loops. So, where's our first back loop? And you see we have two loops here because we pushed that forward like that little ridge. And now we have that one loop. And if you turn this way, you see you have the two loops. And if you turn it this way, you'll see the two loops. So in this far back one here, that's where we're putting our single crochet. Okay? And we're just going to single crochet in that back loop all the way across our row. Like that. So just continue to do your single crochet row all the way to the end of this row. And chain one when you get to the end. And we'll be ready for the next row. And this, I believe, is row 103. So just continue to do that row across, and I'll meet you up when we get to the end of that row. Okay, I'm coming up to the end of my row of single crochets in the back loop. Okay, so I'm coming to the end, my last one. I'm going to chain one. We're not going to turn our work because guess what, kids? We're doing a row of reverse crochet back to the other side. So you have your chain one. This is row 104, I believe. And we're going to go into that first stitch. You just have to have a really light touch on your holding your hook. Like, don't grasp your hook like somebody's trying to take it away from you, or you'll never get this stitch done properly. You just have to hold it real loosely in your hand. Release your tension. Let it glide through the stitch. Release your tension on your hook. Release your tension on your yarn. And just simply pick up that stitch and let it glide through. Okay. Oops. So just continue doing your reverse crochet till you get back to the beginning of this row. And when you get to the end, you'll finish your last stitch. Do not chain one. Do not chain one when you finish your reverse crochet row. And I will be back with you then to complete our last row of our Throw Along Crochet. We're in week number 7. So I'll be right back when I get to the end with you. Okay, so I'm coming to the end of my I did come to the end of my reverse crochet row, and I did not chain one. I turned my work and I started doing my last row. We're at the last row of our body of our throw for our Throw Along Crochet. Here we are in week 7. And so I'm just going to continue down this row. The last row is a row of single crochets in that back loop. And that's the back loop that's left from your reverse crochet in the front loop of the previous stitch. And so we're just going to do a single crochet all the way across this row. Oops. Like so. And that'll be our last row of the body of our throw for the rows that we're doing this way. And then we're going to do the edging on the top and the bottom. So continue doing your single crochets across the row, and I'll meet you up at the end of this row so I can show you what we're going to do next. Okay, I'm coming to the end of my last row, which is row 105. I'm finishing up my single crochets in the back loop. Don't forget that last stitch. Sometimes it's tight in there. There we are. We're done with this part of it. So we're done for that part of the main part of the throw. So here we are. And now we're going to work on the edging for our throw, which is going to be across the bottom and across the top portion. We're done with all the sides here. We're done with the body of the work. And so now we're going to put our edging on the bottom. And to do that, we have 105 rows. We know that. We need 105 stitches, but I want our stitches to be equal stitches and even. So what we're going to do is just add an extra stitch in here when we go across here to have 106 stitches across the bottom. And you'll do the same thing on the other end with 106 stitches, and it's going to be single crochets. So what we're going to do is we're going to just chain one, and try to put one reasonably where there's every stitch. It may not be exactly perfect, that's okay, but do your best work, okay? So we have one here, we're just going to put it right into the stitch here, single crochet, and then we have this reverse stitch, that's 2, 3, and then we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and just put 1 on each of the double crochets. We have 4 of those rows. Just put 1 single in each one. Like so. Try to get just 4 in there, because you only have 4 rows of doubles, but we don't want to have a bunch of extra stitches because you need 106 stitches when you finish this row on the bottom. So just go ahead and do that, even them out as best you can. Space out your 106 stitches. You had 105 rows, you definitely have 105 stitches, and I want you to add 1 extra somewhere in there to have 106 stitches. Doesn't matter where you add it, so you'll have 106 single crochets across the bottom, okay? And you'll do the same thing on the other end when you do that one. So you finish that across, and I'll be back with you in a moment. Now, as you can see, I've just done my single crochets. Like I said, just space them out as best you can to keep it even, and so your work doesn't stretch. And I've done it all the way across the end, and you'll do it on the other end as well after you finish this end of our edging. So do that and get to the end of that. And that will be all for week number 7. Just kidding. So yeah, we're going to come back and finish this up and do the rest of the edging. So get to that end, get your 106 stitches, try to get them as even as possible, and I'll meet back up with you there. Now when you get to the end of this row of when you get your 106 stitches, I want you to chain 1 and turn your work. And then we're going to go down the same 100 stitches. This time we'll be working on the back side of our work, as you can see. So just go 1 single crochets across your 106 stitches that you did on the other side, and you'll do all the way across, and it's a good time to count to make sure you keep an even count of 106. So just keep doing your single crochets across your second row of single crochets on the end, and I'll meet back up when you get to the end of that row, okay? Okay, so we're going to continue on our edge of our throw now. So on this row, what we're going to do is we've chained 2, and we're going to go right into that. We're going to yarn over, go right into that stitch there, the same one where we chained 2. Yarn over, go to the next stitch, pull up a loop, pull through all loops, chain. Okay, then we're going to yarn over, go back in that very same stitch we just worked in, pull up a loop, yarn over, go to the next stitch, pull up a loop, pull it through all, close it with a chain. Okay, yarn over, in the same stitch we just worked, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull up a loop in the next stitch, yarn over, pull through all the loops, and chain. And this is what we're doing. I did this in a video earlier last week, so if you need to look that up for a little more in-depth instruction, you can find it there. It's on my channel. It's called a crossover stitch. And so I'm going to continue in the same stitch. We're going to pull up a loop, yarn over, pull up a loop in the very next stitch, yarn over, pull through all the loops, close it with a chain. Yarn over in the same stitch that we just worked, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull up a loop in the next stitch, pull through all the loops, chain it off. And that's what we're doing. It's a crossover stitch. Okay, yarn over, go in the same stitch we just worked, pull up a loop, yarn over, go in the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all the loops, chain. Same stitch, pull up a loop in the next stitch, yarn over, pull through all the loops, and chain. And that's what it looks like. Okay? And we're going to do this all the way across the row. Okay? Okay, so that's what we're going to be looking like. Alright, so continue doing that row across of the crossover stitch, across the end of our blanket, or throw, whichever you prefer to call it. Yarn over. Yarn over, work back in the same stitch we just worked, yarn over, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull it through all the loops, and chain it off. And that's what we're doing across the row, okay? So just continue to finish this row across, and I will meet you when we get almost to the end of the row, okay? Okay, so I'm coming to the end of this first row of our crossover stitches. So I want to show you what we're going to do at the end of each row, same as the beginning. So I'm going to yarn over, go in my previous stitch, yarn over, pick up the next stitch, chain it off. Okay, you see I'm yarning over, picking up the next stitch, finishing it off with a chain. And now I'm down to the last two stitches. So we're going to go into here in our previous stitch, pull up a loop. I'm going to yarn over, we're going to go into the stitch here, in between there, pull it through to finish off our little square thing, crossover. Then we're going to yarn over and go into that top chain of the previous row, the top chain. I push it in there sometimes, it's a little tight. And we'll finish it off with I'm going to do a half double crochet there. We'll finish it off with a half double crochet. And then chain 2. Okay, so we'll finish it off like that, and then chain 2 and turn our work. Now we're working on the back side, and we've already chained, but see, what we're going to do now is go in between these stitches. So right here there's a space. We're going to yarn over, go in that space, pull up a loop, yarn over, go in the next space, and do the same thing we've been doing, like that. Yarn over, go where we just worked it, pull up a loop, yarn over, go in the next space, pull up a loop, yarn over, close it all up with a chain, like so. Yarn over, go into that space, yarn over, go into the next space between the two next stitches, pull it all through. And if you need further instruction, like I said, there is one for this stitch on my channel. It's called a crossover stitch. And it's a little more detailed. And this is what we're going to do. And I want you to do this for about 8 rows. We're going to do 8 rows. I think it's 8 rows. Let's see, we're on the front. This is the back. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're going to do 8 rows of this crossover stitch on the bottom and the top section of our throw. So complete your 8 rows of the cross stitch on the bottom, back and forth. And I'll meet you when you get to your 8 rows. Okay, final video for our Throw Along Crochet, week number 7. I finished my 8 rows of the bottom edge and one on the top, and you have to do yours on the top as well. And that's what it's going to look like, and it has a little bit of a ruffle. It's not really a ruffle, but it gives it a little flare at the bottom a little bit. So don't be alarmed, it is made that way. So this is our Throw Along Crochet, and you should have something that is exactly like this or very similar to it, I hope. And I hope you really enjoyed this Throw Along Crochet. It was a lot of work, but it was a lot of fun, and I really hope you enjoy it, and I hope you make more of them. And don't stop at just this one, and I hope you've learned to put stitches together, to make different patterns, and just really enjoy what you're doing and love to learn something new all the time. So until we meet again, thank you very much from Needful Things again. Please like and subscribe. And please watch the videos. Thank you.